everyone, and welcome to KenCast. It's amazing to see you. I hope you're having a great weekend so far, and it's a pleasure to be joining you today. We're going to have an amazing discussion about comedies and why comedies are so important to holiday movies. Holiday movies usually have some kind of nostalgia, and it's a holiday ritual, I think, to gather around either on television or we own the movies or we see them on streaming, and we watch our favorites. And you might have your favorites, and we want to know what they are. They could be Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Home Alone, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. There are all kinds of great holiday movies, but especially the ones that you watch over and over again every year. And I bet they're probably a comedy. That seems to be most of them. Anyway, to have this amazing discussion today, I want to welcome a very special guest. You've seen him before on KenCast. He is an esteemed author, comedian, and actor. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to present Rich Baker. Rich, how are you today?
Hey, good to see you, Ken. Thanks as always for having me. It's an honor.
It's great. I love your background. It's perfect. It looks like you are getting ready for the holidays. You're getting that holiday spirit.
Once Halloween is over, there's it's all Christmas. Like that's how Americans do it. So let's do it.
Okay, so you're right. It is Christmas. There's Christmas music everywhere. You go into the stores, everything's changed to Christmas. Do you feel like that's fine, or do you wish that they would wait till like after Thanksgiving to really push Christmas?
I don't know. I mean, as a kid, I don't know if you remember growing up where you were, but like in Texas, I don't remember anything being Christmassy until really after Thanksgiving. And then that just has gotten and more. And I was literally in a Walgreens the day after Halloween, and it was like candy canes everywhere. And I'm like, okay, all right. So, I mean, I think we've pushed it as I don't think that we're ever going to live to a point where they're starting to hawk Christmas stuff in August. But I mean, I'm not going to put it past them, but I'm not mad at them. Like, there's what Thanksgiving stuff are they going to put out there? It's like,
right. I guess, I don't know. I grew up around the Boston area. And so I think there's sort of that Thanksgiving. So I think maybe Thanksgiving was a little more featured in stores and people did get Thanksgiving decorations. But I don't know. I think that's kind of gone out too up there. I don't know. Thanksgiving is just about the feast, I guess, at this point. Well, Rich, it's wonderful to have you here. It's great to welcome you. I want to say hello to everyone who's joining us today. Hello, everyone.
Yeah.
That's right. If you're watching live, join in the live chat. Let us know what you think. This is a great opportunity for us to hear your thoughts and react to your thoughts. And if you're watching on the replay right now, go ahead and comment below the video, and then we'll all see your thoughts forever, and we'll respond. We read the comments, perma comments anyway. So hello, everyone. AEH, thanks for being a channel member. Great to see you. Sebastian says, I'm super happy that it's currently the first half of Christmas season. Exactly. Yes, that's a great comment. Marianella, hey, Ken, how have you been? Been doing great. Getting ready for the holidays. Man, we had our first big holiday, Halloween. I want to hear Rich's experience with Halloween, but I hope you all had a great Halloween. The Spooky Fangirl says, hi, super excited for today's KenCast. Yes, we're super excited that you're here. Thanks for joining us. Ben, great to see you. Clifford, thanks for being a channel member, Clifford. It's great to see you. He says, hey, Ken and Rich. And Spooky Fangirl, her name is Spooky Fangirl, says, I still have the post-Halloween blues.
I respect that, Spooky Fangirl, because like Halloween is, people ask me like, do you like, I'm like, I'm looking forward to Halloween in April, so it's like, it takes me a little while to kind of wind down from it too. So I feel that.
Yes. Rich, one thing I did do this past weekend is my wife and I went to see The Nightmare Before Christmas live with Danny Elfman conducting the score. Okay. So that was an amazing experience. Very cool. But I was going to recommend Spooky Fangirl. I know you know it well, but you can keep watching Nightmare Before Christmas all the way to Christmas. So you can still have that Halloween spirit.
It is the only movie that I know of that is both a Halloween movie and a Christmas movie. And it's just like brilliant how they did that. Like for 2 months, it's appropriate. It's so like, that's marketing right there.
Yep. A complete genius. I don't know. I feel like the movie kind of like it sort of found its audience when it released, but man, it's just become a phenomenon, and deservedly so, I think.
When you saw Danny Elfman, was that at the Bowl?
Yes. Yes. Hollywood Bowl. And
nice.
it was him. Catherine O'Hara was there, uh,
Oh,
and Fred Armisen, sorry, from SNL, and like a
yeah.
lot of the original. Greg Proops was there, and a
Wow.
lot of the original musicians were performing.
Wow.
And they did a pretty cool tribute to Paul Rubens as well, who I guess usually goes to these shows, but unfortunately passed away. My goodness,
Yeah.
how sad
Rest
is
in
that?
peace.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all these great comedic actors.
Yeah. We all, no matter how funny you are, we all die. That's the message, kids. On this holiday special, I want to bring it down a notch. Thank you very much.
Hey, we have to stay grounded. And I don't know, Rich. We'll get into this, but I think maybe knowledge of our own mortality, the pain we live with every. I mean, I think those are the roots of why we need to cope as a human race with comedy. Um,
True.
okay, Rich. Let's do some news.
KenCast News.
All right, Rich, we're gonna fly through some news before we get into our main discussion today. The first thing I'd like to do is thank all of the channel members. Thank you so much for supporting the channel and for contributing and for commenting. And I think so many people who watch KenCast know these names. They're true leaders in the community, and it's an honor to have you guys watching and participating in this channel. Thank you so much for your support. Um, Rich, this is
Yeah.
huge. On Monday, okay, on Monday, you and I are going to be doing a show, like an amazing show on Monday. This is your troupe. This is your show. This is in LA, Glendale. Can you tell us about this show?
Oh, I'm happy to. Yeah, and thank you for doing the show. It's the first Monday of every month at the Glendale Room, which is a lovely little tiny theater in Glendale, which is one of the many little towns in the city of Los Angeles. And every month, I get a different person to tell stories, and then I get 5 other improvisers to join me. And so you are going to be our storyteller this month. I'm very excited about that. Basically, you'll tell a true story, and then the 6 improvisers will be inspired by that to improvise for a bit, and then when we're done, you'll tell another story, and we'll just kind of go back and forth for an hour. And I get a different cast, a different storyteller every time, but it's always a lot of fun, a lot of laughs. It's the best kept secret in LA comedy, and yeah, it's definitely good times.
Well, Rich, I do have to mention this. I'm honored to be on this show, in for many reasons. To actually be on stage with you and your improvisers is just absolutely fantastic. Now, this show for all the Cobra Kai fans out there, this was the same show where
Mhm.
Gianni DiCenzo, who plays Dimitri on Cobra Kai, he was in the show,
Yeah.
and I'm just so honored to be part of this show.
Yeah, Gianni was at my second or third show. I started in November, December of 21. And he was just, I mean, he was my student before that. And he's just a really funny guy and just super personal. And I thought, oh man, this kid from Cobra Kai is going to be here. So we might get some people come for him. We did get a lot of people come to that show. It was mostly his family because he's local. His family was awesome. Like this
Yeah.
loud, laughy Italian family. It was so great.
Very cool. I can't wait. It's going to be so much fun, guys. If you want to see Rich and me live, and you're in the LA area, come on down to Glendale on Monday and catch this show. It's going to be great, and catch us after the show too and say hi. We'd love to say hi.
Yeah, please do.
So yeah, it's going to be an absolute blast. And then okay, Rich, I guess we have to talk about this. Obviously, you're here in LA, you're in showbiz. The SAG strike is affecting all of us,
Oh yeah.
and I don't know. Do you have thoughts going in? I'm going to pull up a quick. I guess why don't I here? Why don't I pull up like a quick news thing? We could talk about it real quick.
Yeah.
So, okay, guys, we've been doing this for months. This is the latest news on the strike. The studios deliver a new contract offer to SAG-AFTRA. More talk set for the weekend. So, I'll just kind of summarize this basically as the studios presenting their quote best and final offer to the union. It's kind of like a take it or leave it sort of thing. And they're reviewing that right now. They're trying to come to a decision. I bring this up because it's basically shut down a lot of production here in Hollywood for a long time, including I know fans of the Cobra Kai show are watching this right now. That's on ice. Uh, Everything's on ice right now. And the rumors are that stuff won't really even get going until 2024 because we are in the holiday season. And sometimes not as much filming gets done over the holiday season. So they're like, let's just put it off to 2024. What are your thoughts about this entire situation?
I don't know what it's like to run a major Hollywood studio. Obviously, most people don't, but I can tell you that 42 years of life, everything that I've noticed, seen, watching documentaries, and just knowing humans is that people who, and I mean, there's like science on this, so like people who get powerful and rich, a lot of them, like there's literal brain difference in like when people get power, like they've done science on this. And so when you've got these heads of studios that there's nothing stopping them from just offering things that would be decent and human and fair. There's literally nothing stopping them from doing that other than they don't want it. And whether you're a lobbyist group for Washington or studios in Hollywood or you're running a small manufacturing plant in Detroit, whatever it is, it's like I get so incensed by like sometimes Ken, they literally spend more money on lawyers and lobbyists than they would have to just give the people what they wanted in the contract. I'm like, it's not a money thing. It's clearly not. There's an ego thing. There's a mental thing. And I'm just like, stop it. Go get some therapy. You know what you need? You need a Southern mom to run these things. Be like, that's not okay. And just whack you with a newspaper and be like, no, do something nicer. It's like, it enrages me. Anyway, I could soapbox that forever. But.
Yeah. But you're exactly right. I remember back, when was it? It was sometime around August where the studios were getting bad press. So they were actually paying. They hired a high-powered PR firm to come in and basically make them look better. And it's like, guys, you're paying for a PR firm, but you're not paying. You don't want to actually pay out to the people who are going to help you create the product. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah. I'd like to believe that if you or I or most people who agree with us got to that position of power, that we would retain our humility and our humanity, but who knows?
Yeah. It's really, that's a really great point. We don't know. And maybe there's something to both sides. Maybe on the studio side there are legitimate concerns that would affect the ability to do business in the future. So yeah, we can't see that. Although, right, I mean, certainly the ideas and the thoughts we've seen from CEOs from the studios have been, I don't know, maybe a little bit out of touch. So kind of like you're saying.
An analogy that I think works, and I'm riffing here on the spot, but just like I saw a meme that said, if libraries didn't exist today and some politician proposed, what if we put buildings in every city with free books that like it would never get passed, right? People would say it would ruin the book industry. It would ruin this. It would cost too much with it. And yet we know that it works, right? And that we do it, people go to the library every day. And so it's like, anytime someone goes, oh, we can't give the actors this or else it'll ruin this, it'll ruin that. It's like, but will it?
Right. Yeah. It's the wonderful points. I think you're exactly right. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully it ends soon. And then everyone can get back to work, but we'll see. We've had a lot of false starts for a while. So, everyone, it's great to see you. Jaws. Hello, Ken. Hello, Rich. Rich, you know how to do an impression of Ken Cole. I don't know. I won't put you on the spot, Rich.
I've never tried one, but welcome to KenCast, everyone. Wow, I'm so excited to have Rich Baker on today. That's terrible. I can't. I can't. You've got such that you're that rich bass in your voice is just like I don't have. That's.
Well, thank you, Rich. I appreciate it. If there's anything I want my voice, it's rich bass. It's the best kind of bass. So, Jasmine says, hey, great to see you, Ken. How are you doing? Doing great. Did you hear about the actor strike? If they don't have a deal by tomorrow, the possibility that they cancel some TV shows and movies. Yeah, I heard that. some of the stuff that you read in the news, it kind of comes from certain sides of the battle.
Yeah.
And so people have suggested that if you hear ultimatums like that, like, well, it's got to be done this week or else we're just going to shut everything down. That might be part of a pressure negotiation tactic, but that actually there's a lot of reasoning behind that. They're not going to be able to really shoot much. We're talking about the holidays. So we've got the Thanksgiving season, Christmas, New Year's, all that kind of thing. And there's not a lot of opportunity to shoot a lot of stuff. So they might just put everything off to 2024 anyway. So we could get the news that negotiations are off until the new year. It's possible. So isn't that
Who
crazy,
knows,
man?
man? Yeah, absolutely. But it sucks for all that. There's so much collateral damage, and that's just the way it is. But it's like I'm so proud of all the actors and the people who are going to the picket lines every day, and the Fran Drescher and all the people in the leadership and stuff that are like, hey, we got to make this stand now, or else it's gonna have echoes for years to come.
Right. Especially with all this AI stuff, right? Like, I guess that's one great thing, guys. That's why you should go to this improv show on Monday, Monologues and Mayhem at the Glendale Room. I'll plug this one more time. This is our show.
Yeah.
So if you're just joining us, come to the show if you're around the LA Glendale area. But the great thing about improv, Rich, AI can't mess with it. It's pure human. I don't think there's any way for AI to be ever able to do an improv show. So it will always be an authentically human experience.
A freaking man.
Let's see. AEH says Nightmare Before Christmas. I love that film.
Sure.
Best month. Jaws says best Monday of the year. I agree. It's going to be an incredible Monday. Come out and see us, guys. Sebastian Clifford says good one, Rich. And Gabe, good to see you, Gabe. Happy Saturday. Wonderful that you're joining us. Ben, good to see you too, Ben. And Jaws says Man on the Moon or King of Comedy. How interesting. Yeah, that's now King of Comedy. That was the Scorsese movie, right? With Jerry Lewis.
It's been a while.
It's been I
thought it was
great.
Robert De Niro. Am I?
Yes, I think was that the one with Robert De Niro kidnapping Jerry Lewis.
Yep, you got it. Yep, Jerry Lewis, Robert.
Okay.
Yeah, I've never actually seen that one.
Yeah, I saw half of it one day, and I'd like to watch the whole thing because Scorsese deserves more respect than watching half his movie. So, but yeah, it's kind of wild. Yeah, I would definitely check it out. Clifford says, well, the longer we wait, the further Kreese is getting away. That's right.
He's like, get the actor's strike. I'm running.
Indeed. Well, guys, thanks for your comments. Keep them coming. Rich, let's dive into this main part of our discussion today. And it's something I wanted to ask you because you are a comedy expert. You teach comedy, you perform, you've done all this stuff with comedy. And maybe the question would be, why is comedy so important to us? And why do we go back to it at these times of the year, like the holidays? We have our favorite movies that we watch every year, the ones that are on TV all the time, whether it's A Christmas Story or National Lampoon's Vacation or Elf or Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. It's like all these classics tend to be comedies. And so I was wondering if we could talk about that and maybe start by saying, what does comedy mean to you? And why do you think it's important to everyone?
There's I love your question. I love all this, Ken. The ideas that I was thinking about is like, if you go to a concert, let's say it's you go to Taylor Swift or something like that, like there's an energy in the crowd, there's an emotion that you're feeling, right? But if you go see a Slayer concert, still an energy, but totally different one, right? So I go see a horror movie versus an action movie versus a drama versus a comedy, and it's all about what emotions are we stirring up in the audiences. And I assume that by the end of the year, and even though years are kind of arbitrary as far as time, but like we've all bought into it our whole lives, it feels like an ending, the winter, and then no matter what holiday you're celebrating, there's so many around the November, December time that I think that we just I don't think there's a lot of people want to laugh. people want that energy of like, hey, it's the end of the year. Let's just forget, anything that was we're mad about. Let's just laugh about it now. It's like, it's Christmas or it's Hanukkah or it's whatever holiday we're celebrating. Do you? I
Interesting. So
mean,
it's like,
you like to laugh at the holiday movies just as much as anyone, right?
oh yeah, 100%, 100%.
Yeah, and it feels it's like you almost associate with it. It's like I'm at home. There's snow outside, not here in California, but where you grew up, there
Mhm.
probably was. And like,
Right.
oh, there's
Right.
snow outside, and we're laughing on the inside by a warm fire watching a movie.
Yeah. You're right. It's like, what is that feeling of happiness and joy, right? And you want to feel that. And yeah, you're right. Comedies give you that.
Yeah. And there's, we see some horror movies and some other things happen, but I would argue that I was trying to think about it. At least in the movies that I remember that I care about, even the ones that are scary or action or drama, they all still have comedy throughout.
Hmm.
Because we've seen
Right.
action movies without comedy, but I mean, I don't think of many that I associate with the holidays.
Right. Like, okay, the only really the main action movie, obviously, people say, is this a Christmas movie or not? But is Die Hard,
Sure.
and which great movie. But there are a lot of humorous. There's a tension, but there's this levity to it, and there are a lot of like humorous moments sprinkled throughout. Um, kind of in the face of what's going on. But like, I think that's the exception. Like, I really don't know if there are any other huge movies like that are holiday themed.
Well, I've always loved Lethal Weapon, the first one, which I consider Christmas movie because it's all set around Christmas, and I
Mhm.
think there's a lot of comedy in that one as well. And then another one on my list, which I mean, action, it's more horror, but like Gremlins, very much a Christmas movie, but like, and it's a horror movie, but it's a dark comedy. It's a hilarious horror movie.
Right. Yeah. That's a really good point. And guys, as we're talking about this, let us know your favorite holiday movies. Drew, Cobra Kai Kid and DrewTube, check out his channel. He says, "Hey guys, I'm about to see the Trolls in theaters, but I wanted to pop in and say hi. Thanks for saying hi." Now, are you have you been watching the Trolls movies, Rich?
I saw the first the animated ones. Yeah, I saw the first
Yes.
one with Anna Kendrick
How was
years
it?
ago. It's definitely for little kids. But the music was great, and I mean, there's like I love Anna Kendrick's voice. I think she's great. And so it's like it's a little young for an adult, but if you don't have kids, but I was like, oh, I'm not going to watch it a second time, but it was fun.
Right, right. Okay, cool. Well, enjoy that, Drew. Thanks for saying hi. Ben Matella says Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is one I watch constantly around this time of year. That's a great one. So, Rich, tell me your thoughts on Planes, Trains, Automobiles, if you've seen it, but also that stars Steve Martin and John Candy.
Yeah. And I've seen it a million times. I love it. As many times as I've seen it though, when you first bring it up, my brain thinks Christmas movie, but it's not actually a Christmas movie. It's a Thanksgiving movie.
Right.
And but we push those holidays together so much just in culture anyways, it doesn't really matter. But I mean, I think that movie is one of the funniest out there. I don't think we'd have Tommy Boy without that, which I think is one of the absolute funniest movies of all time. And yeah, I mean, it's just you've got two comedic greats just bouncing off of each other back and forth for an hour and a half. It's fantastic. I assume you're a fan.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan. I actually hadn't watched that movie until about 3 years ago, strangely. I don't know
Oh,
why I missed it. I think I put it off. I know it was one of my dad's favorite comedies. And man, I just loved it's kind of one of those things where you watch it and you're like, okay, this isn't like an out and out comedy. But then as it progresses, man, there are just so many wonderful moments and laugh out loud moments. It's sort of like this
yeah.
perfectly calibrated, slow release, slow burn movie. And I don't know. I'll say this now, and you can agree with me or not. I think there's something about John Candy. I don't know what it is, but I think there's something about him that is perfect for holiday movies. And I
Oh
don't
yeah.
know, it's sort of like this likability, kind of like homey quality to him. I don't I don't know. He seems like approachable. There's something about him, I think, in particular, that's perfect for holiday comedies like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll remove the word holiday and just go perfect for comedy. Like I think
Right.
I not many if have, in my opinion, achieved the type of acting that he's done to where he is just instantly likable in every role he played. The moment you see him on camera, you're just like, I like this guy, like immediately. And holidays, we want to think about like just being upbeat and positive and big hearts. And I mean, who had a bigger heart than him? I mean, he's such a sweet guy.
Right. And he obviously he was part of Second City, and
Oh, yeah.
he was huge. What and you've seen a lot of performers, comedic performers. What is it about what he did, I think, or what is it about what he did that separates him from other performers? If you could say, if it's possible for you to say.
Yeah, I had the privilege years ago of seeing his daughter, who's very talented in her own right, just interview Martin Short on stage and just talk for like just an hour, just the two of them talking. And they were just talking about John Candy the whole time. And Martin Short said there was an effortlessness about him that you never felt like he was trying. The comedy just kind of sits on him. Whereas like I love Martin Short and I love Steve Martin, but they're song and dance men, they're ba, 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 ba. And John Candy was just like, you just look at him and you're already like, I'm already in a good mood. You haven't even said anything yet. I'm enjoying this moment.
Yeah, indeed. And Marianella talks about Home Alone is a Christmas classic, one of my favorite Christmas movies. And I
One
will
of the best.
say, I think that movie is topped off by the John Candy cameo. So,
Oh,
like, he
so
has that
big.
kind of short cameo. It's almost like a reference to Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Yes.
Just, but it's like, yeah, it's like he shows up, you see him, and you're like, man, this is perfect. It's like a nice warm blanket or a layer of frosting or something like that. It just makes it perfect, ties it up in a bow.
And I obviously don't know this for sure, but what I remember at some point in my life is learning that a lot of his dialogue in the van is actually improvised. And he was like, "You haven't heard of polka, 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 polka?" He's just like, he's just talking about all these and making up names of polka albums and stuff. And so it's like I could just watch that scene over and over and over. It's hilarious.
It is, yes, it's very good. Spooky Fangirl says my mom and I watch Die Hard every year for Christmas. Great film.
Same.
Um,
Same.
Ben Mattel says for how funny the movie is, and I think this is Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. The ending is so touching, and it just brings it all together. Now, Ben, that's a really great point, and I want to ask Rich about this. It seems like some of the best comedies, there's that really powerful, emotional, human, serious, touching component to it.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, could you talk about that in terms of comedy? Like, what's going on there with comedy? What are the kind of the unseen layers with comedy?
To me, you go back in time and you think about drama and comedy were really the only two categories of theater. I'm not even sure if they called it that back in the day, but drama was or tragedy. Really, they didn't call it drama; they called it tragedy and comedy. And tragedy, everything ends poorly. Comedy, everything ends well. And nowadays, our comedies can sometimes be more complex than that. And I love comedy for comedy's sake, like a Jerky Boys album from the early '90s or something. Like, there's no heart there. It's just
Right.
silly and cutting and that's fine. But I I want to me, and when I perform comedy or write comedy, I need a layer of humanity underneath it. I want to laugh and feel good and not just and that's probably why I've never really been to prank shows or things of that nature, just because I like the style that Second City often, whether it's Eugene Levy or John Candy or Dan Akroyd or Catherine O'Hara or all these famous people. Like, there's always a humanity through line, because if there wasn't, it just wouldn't work as well. It would be jokes for jokes' sake that probably aren't going to hit.
Right. And we could talk about like improv, short form improv, which are kind of like
Mhm.
quick jokes and stuff. But the long form improv, do you find when you're doing longer scenes, that kind of it's that humanity, that sincerity, the human truth is more important to sustain those longer scenes?
Well, we don't have enough time for me to go into my entire diatribe on improv and the different parts of it, but I would say that uh yes, in a general sense that I see people shortcut that humanity for short form and maybe not as much for long form, but I think good performers put that humanity in no matter whether they're doing one-liner
Mm,
jokes or whether like Mitch Hedberg, um, he's one of my favorite stand-ups of all time, and it was mostly one-liners, but there was still a humanity that wrote underneath that, right? And long form definitely gives you the opportunity to explore characters more by far. It's whether the performers invest the time in doing that. That's what makes the difference to me.
wow, very cool, man. We would love to have you on to just talk about improv as well. That's absolutely, and you've written books about it too. So now, what is the name of your book? Oh, there you
Improv,
go. Improv
man.
made.
Yeah. Oh, I'm a shameless self-plugger, Cole. You're gonna bring up my book. I'm gonna put it right there. There's my name right there. Boom. There it is. It's got all these little pages in it, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Well, if anyone here is watching this and has thought about doing comedy or improv comedy, Rich does classes remotely. And Rich, they can be anywhere in the world, right?
Oh yeah, I've had students from different countries a number of times in my classes. Absolutely. Just
Okay.
about your
We
time
have,
zone. Check out at Rich Baker Coaching on Instagram or Facebook. Find all my stuff there.
and we also have, if you look in the description, we have all his information there too. So follow him and check it out. And
Woo.
you would have a blast if you're interested. You would have an absolute blast,
Sure.
100%. Um, Jaws says Bigfoot and Me and Cobra Cole are great comfort short films for the holidays, and you can enjoy them in less than 10 minutes. Thank
Hell
you,
yeah.
Jaws. I appreciate that. And thank you, Rich. Rich was a great part of Cobra Cole and why it worked. Thank you so much, Rich, for
Oh, it was an honor.
helping with that project. Yes.
Absolutely.
Um, Gabe says, I often get a lot of grief for this bit. Some of my favorite Christmas movies have always been the Hallmark Christmas movies. Okay, so
Nice.
Rich, let's talk because this is a whole genre of Christmas
Oh yeah.
movie. Is the Hallmark,
It's a whole
Lifetime?
industry here in LA.
Oh yeah, it's incredible. So, what do you think is going? We've been talking about comedies, and of course, there's a certain level of comedy in these as well. But
Sure.
what is it about this type of movie? Do you think that people find to be comfort movies during the holidays?
I'll be honest. I've seen very few of them just because they're not typically my brand. And no judgment. I love romantic I love tons of movies that people can make fun of. But I think there is something nice about. Well, I'll take action movies as a parallel. Like you can make fun of how much I love action movies because we know the good guy's going to win at the end. Like there's no surprises here.
Right.
But in these these Hallmark movies, like they're gonna get together at the end. Like it's not about whether they will or won't. It's about, oh, I know what's gonna happen. I want to see a fun journey of these people fall in love in this quirky way in a small town or whatever it is.
Right.
I don't know. Do you have any experience with the Hallmark movies? Do you have any opinions on this?
Yeah, probably like the last 5 years, like they've,
Mhm.
you can turn them on television and a lot of them are, I know people would say they're like terrible movies and some of them are, I remember watching one called like A Mermaid for Christmas or something like that. A Mermaid Christmas. And it was like, yeah, it was like mermaids in like Southern California, like somewhere around Marina
Right.
Del Rey. And, it's all full of soap actors who are kind of like doing this on the side. And, it's really, you could say it's bad, but the thing is, Rich, I'll be honest with you. I've kind of have this weird thing where if there are certain redeeming qualities, I really can enjoy stuff in an ironic way. So I enjoy
Oh yeah.
watching this stuff if they're bad. I find that really entertaining, like cheesiness, bad acting. I just find that so entertaining to watch. And so if these are on, like the cheesier, the crazier, the better. I find that entertaining. But they're not like great movies. I think a lot of people would, but they're an industry. They're an industry.
Yeah. Well, I mean, soap operas are an industry. And again, not my brand, but the people who love them, I don't want to yuck anyone's yum. If you love them, you love them.
Yeah,
That's fantastic.
yeah. 100% agree. Clifford says, I love the film Santa Claus with Tim Allen. Watch out, guys, with the initials SC. Yeah. Um, I remember really enjoying this as well. And this was kind of like the first one came out when he was, super uh, popular from Home Improvement. But, that's another example of like a comedian kind of being the lead of a Christmas movie. And it kind
Sure.
of, what are your thoughts? We have a whole series, the Santa Clauses now. It's turned into
yeah.
like this whole franchise.
I
I
didn't
haven't
know
seen
that.
that yet. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. It's like him and his wife, adventures being Santa, I guess. It's on
Sure.
Disney Plus.
Mhm.
Not to plug Disney Plus, but what are your thoughts on Tim Allen as a comedic actor and lead?
Oh, I like Tim Allen. I mean, I think Galaxy Quest is one of the best movies. I top 10 funniest movies of all time for me personally. I mean, I think his role as Buzz Lightyear killed it in what, 4 Toy Story movies? Like,
Mhm.
I'm trying to think. I know there's been other movies of his that I've liked, but I mean, just those enough, as far as I'm concerned, rank him one of the top comedy actors. I remember the Santa Claus when I was a kid. I know it's not one of those that I've rewatched, but I do remember, like, it has a little place in my heart of like, oh, that was a good one. What about
Right.
you? How do you feel about the Tim Allen?
I think he's good. Like, I agree. Galaxy Quest, a lot of people say that that's like their favorite Star Trek movie, and it's not even really a Star Trek movie, but he does this amazing, like he's kind of doing his version of Shatner and he's kind of playing all that up. And yeah, he's just really, really great in that. And the first Santa Claus movie, I enjoyed, when I was young. I thought it was really good. And of course the Buzz Lightyear. Yeah, he's got that kind of, I don't know. I guess maybe like with the Home Improvement series, he has that sort of family man vibe,
Yeah,
and I think that really helps with holiday movies as well. Yeah, very very funny guy. But Rich, I need to ask you now. We've kind of talked around some different performers, but if there's one comedic performer that you think is perfect for holiday movies, who would that be?
oh man, I knew you were gonna ask this. I I'm looking at my list of everything, and I don't know, man. If I'm gonna say Bill Murray for Scrooged, even though I don't really think I associate with him with any other Christmas movie that I can think of. I just love that movie so much that he stands out.
Right.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
trying to think. Like, I know there's more prolific Christmas comedic actors, but man, that performance is so perfect.
yeah. Yeah, he's great. And the thing is, like, he's dominated another holiday, a little bit later, Groundhog Day. That's that's
Yeah,
that's become a classic, and so
yeah.
I don't know, there's that ritual with Bill Murray as well. Scrooged for Christmas, Groundhog Day, and I don't know, I'll be releasing a video soon about Ghostbusters 2. You could make an
Nice.
argument that that's a Christmas New Year's movie.
Yeah,
So,
that's fair. Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, Bill Murray's a
Okay,
great one.
who's your Christmas actor that you dig?
I I might have to go back to John Candy. Like, I don't know, for some
Great.
he's I don't know, he just fits so perfectly for me.
He's great.
I think there are others, obviously Chevy Chase with Christmas Vacation.
So
He's good,
iconic.
but yeah, he is. And obviously Will Ferrell did Elf and
Sure.
but I think, yeah, I don't know, there's something about John Candy for me. So,
Yeah,
that's what I
absolutely.
would say.
It's great.
Um, we have Dave Schrock. Great to see you, Dave. My goodness, amazing filmmaker. He's working on his own film right now, his next movie. But he was director of photography for Cobra Cole. And he says, "Hello, KenCast friends. Let's film our own Cobra Cole holiday special. Save Silver Santa."
I mean,
That
I'm
would be
in.
amazing. Yeah, you
What
want
do
to
you
do
need?
it?
I'm helping. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll help however you need.
I love it, Dave. We need to talk. Absolutely, 100%. Well, I hope your film's going well, and we'll talk about it when it's done and tell everyone about it. So we'll talk soon, Dave. Um, Jaws says, does Terry Silver need some comedian characters in his personal or work environment, such as in the LaRusso family with Louis and Anoush? Um, interesting. Interesting. So talking about Terry Silver, uh, what do you think? Could he use some comic relief in his, like, let's say he gets out of prison and he's still doing his world domination thing. Do you think comedic relief would be good for his character, or do you think it should be more serious?
I have always been a fan of the the classic, bad guy with a couple of bumbling sidekicks, right? So like
Mhm.
I'm sure there's better examples of this, but like from the Little Mermaid, right? The Ursula, she's got Flotsam and Jetsam, and they're just kind of bumbling,
Right.
and Scar with the hyenas, and I don't know why I'm going all animated right now, but there's plenty of examples, right? I think Terry Silver, if he had a couple of knuckleheads working for him that he had to kind of keep in line and stuff, I think
Right.
he would crush that.
Right, because it's sort of the pleasure. He'd probably keep him around so he could feel like he's like the smartest and best, and you know could completely dominate them all the time. And yeah, I agree. Why not? Let's do it. I know people want Dennis and Snake to come back. Maybe there's an
Oh,
opportunity
that'd be
there.
great.
Yeah, that'd be incredible. Yeah, AAH says Bill Murray was amazing in
Perfect.
Scrooge. Yes.
Perfect performance.
Ben says I love Elf. Watch it every night and just wow, really?
Every
It's
night.
a great movie. Yeah.
Great.
Now, Gabe asks, have you guys seen A Christmas Story Christmas? This was the recent Peter Billingsley sequel to A Christmas Story.
Right.
I think it came out a year or two ago on HBO Max or Max or whatever it was called.
I
Have you
missed
seen
it.
that one?
You?
I did see it.
Oh, okay.
Yes. I think it's one of those things where great. It's great in that it brings back the Christmas story. Like if you loved A Christmas Story, it's it brings that back. It brings those moments, those characters back. I don't know if it's one of those things like, am I going to watch it again? Probably not. Like I'll probably just go back and
Yeah.
watch the original Christmas Story. But I think it's cool. It's out there. It's got all the people involved, and yeah, it's check it out. There's so many great holiday movies, and it's time to watch them, guys. It's time to watch them.
Yeah. The time is now.
So, so Rich, I don't know. Do you have any other thoughts on, say, holiday movies from the perspective of what they're making now versus what they used to make in the 80s and 90s?
Yeah, well, I mean, movies in general, I think that they feel different now than they used to, and as they should. A story that forgive me if I've shared this before, but Steve Carell's first movie was Curly Sue, and he was a waiter without a line, and he was on set for 3 days
Wow.
because back then movies it was a big deal to make a movie, and they took their time, right? There was always budget crunches and all that kind of stuff, but like you don't have no lines and you're on set for 3 days. Like if you had no lines, and you were a waiter, you'd be on set for 3 hours, tops, because they want to get in, get out, get in, get out, that kind of thing, right? And so they're gonna have a different feel to it. But I was trying to think. There's not a ton of movies, at least that I've seen recently, that made me go, "Oh, that's a Christmas movie I'd want to watch again." But there's two that come to mind. One was, I believe this was last year. It's called Spirited. Did you see that one?
No, I haven't. Spirited?
Yeah, Ryan Reynolds was in it. And I'm trying to think who else offhand, but should have had this ready to go. But it was on Apple Plus, so no one
Okay.
saw it. But it was Will Ferrell and Ryan Reynolds, and it's really funny and it's really good. And it's like part musical and all these different things. So I don't know. That was one of the few movies that I saw that kind of felt like an old school Christmas movie. Very happy and upbeat. And I'd recommend that one if anyone's looking for a recent one.
Okay, and that's on Apple Plus. Is it the
Mhm.
type of movie that you wish was released in theaters?
Yeah, I mean, at the time, I think we were still a little COVID scared, possibly, but yeah, I mean, I think it's the type of movie that if you'd gone to see it in the theater with the family, that you'd be talking about it afterwards and that kind of thing. Because I just watched it by myself on my couch, but I still remember it. I thought it was pretty good.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, we'll definitely have to check that out. Okay, so that's Spirited, everyone, on
Yeah.
Apple Plus. So That's
Yeah.
a great
And then
recommendation.
a movie that kind of got forgotten quickly. I don't know if you'd even remember this, but in 2020, there was an action dark comedy Christmas movie called Fat Man.
I hadn't seen it. No. Fat Man. Who's in that one, or what was that about?
Mel Gibson. So, you know, a lot of controversy with him and everything, but I
Yeah.
think his performance is pretty good. And Walton Goggins.
Oh
You know,
yeah,
yeah. And it's
amazing.
basically, what if Santa Claus was a badass action guy and some selfish kid declared war on him and sent an assassin after him?
That's so awesome. I love that.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a great action movie, and it's, you know, again, dark comedy, a lot of comedic moments in it, but I mean, it is no one saw it. It just went under the radar because 2020, you know. But I just remember, like, I was watching it with my girlfriend at the time, and I, like, her whole family, and we were like, "This is hilarious. This is really funny."
Yeah, that's great. Well, it looks like that you can watch that now on Peacock for free.
There you go.
So I'm definitely going to check that out because that's definitely my style. I love that type of movie.
Heck yeah.
100%. So,
Any recent Christmas movies or holiday movies you're digging?
gosh, let's see. I don't know. On this channel we spend so much time talking about nostalgia. I find myself keep, going back to those 80s, 90s movies. And I don't know if I've seen any recent holiday movies over the past few years. I don't know if I've sought them out. Maybe they've gone under the radar, like those two you recommended. I definitely want to check those out. I guess I did see A Christmas Story Christmas last year or the year before.
Sure.
But I don't know if I have any new recommendations or things that I saw that I liked for holiday movies. And so one of the reasons I asked you that question, I'm so glad you were able to give a great answer because I miss that. I miss those types of movies coming out. And it seems like with comedies, they haven't been making sort of the character-based feature comedies that they used to, that maybe
No.
all was on the star power of like certain comedic actors. And that sold the movie and it was very popular. And it seems like they don't make those much anymore. And I feel like those are perfect for holiday movies, and I don't know. I hope we get back to that.
You know, Hollywood's just a very different place than it was in the 80s and the 90s. And again, I think Spirited's the closest one I've seen in a long time. But yeah, they don't make comedies much in general. Like, if you see a comedy, usually it's just kind of hidden on Netflix or something. But the big iconic, I remember when Adam Sandler, he had a movie in the top 10 every year for a while, right? And it was like, yeah, comedy, comedy, comedy. And then it just, it's hard to bank on that because so much of Hollywood's money now is the international markets, and so much of comedy is, clever wordplay or cultural, references and stuff. And it's hard for those to play in the international markets. And if you try and sell a movie in Hollywood and go, this is a really funny, Americans will love it, they'll go, oh, I don't know if that's going to make a lot of money.
That's actually, I think you put your finger on it. That's got to be it because everything is internationally driven now. And you're right. All the stuff made here maybe doesn't translate. That's really too bad. There, another movie that came out this year. I don't know if you saw it. No Hard Feelings. I haven't seen it yet with Jennifer Lawrence.
I haven't seen it yet. No.
Okay. That got really good reviews and I guess people really enjoyed it, but in theaters, I guess it really didn't do that well. And sometimes people are saying that they don't think it's necessarily worth it to spend the ticket prices, like to go see like kind of a small comedy, like because ticket prices have gone up quite a bit now. And I don't know. I'm wondering, people have talked about like different movies having different ticket prices. Like if a movie like No Hard Feelings, it only costs you like $7 to get in instead of $15, then, maybe more people would choose to go see a movie like No Hard Feelings. But I don't know. Maybe it's a cost thing. Do people not value comedy, Rich?
It's not that they don't value comedy, it's that the comedy isn't presented in a way that has value. As I said, and that's a lot of movies in general, other than your occasional, Barbies or other movies that actually draw the Top Gun, from a few years ago or whatever. Like a lot of movies, it's like, why would I go out to see this when I've got more movies than I could even possibly scroll through in a lifetime sitting on my TV or my computer right now?
Yeah. And that's different. You're right. Even with what, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, if you wanted to rent a movie or just see something new, you had to go out anyway. You had to go to the video
Yeah.
store, grocery store, or whatever, and actually take the time to pick the movie and rent it and come back. So there was always some kind of effort in getting your movie. And yeah, now there's no effort. You're right. You can turn on the television and you've got it all right there.
I mean, and that's just, basic economics 101 or even basic physics, right? It's like the more you have of something, the less it's worth, right? If all of a sudden everyone had gold, the value of gold would drop, right? And so like everyone has access to a zillion movies, most of which aren't that great, but they're there. And so it's like, okay, maybe this movie come out in the theaters a little bit better, but unless you're selling it to me as this movie is an experience, right? Going to the movie theater is an experience. So why, if people went to Barbie and they dressed up as Barbie, they dressed up as Ken, it was a night out. And
Mhm.
I think with the current landscape, as long as it's unchanged, that movies are going to need to be an excuse to go out and really have a night rather than just, oh, like, here's a movie, go see it out there. It's like, no, I can see it at home. I can wait 3 months and see it at home. A lot of people are going to do that.
So that last part I want to pick up on. Do you think if the studios adjust back, like lengthen those windows and make it sort of harder to get to newer movies, at least for a while, maybe for like 6 months or a year, do you think they could walk back that trend where people would want to go see something in theaters? Because you're right, it comes out so quickly on digital, sometimes even the same day that I don't know, could they lengthen that back out and make it more of a special experience to go see the movie in theaters?
Maybe that'd be cool if they could. In a general sense, it's hard to unpack the machine once it's out of the box, kind of deal, or whatever the analogy is. But clearly the way movies are right now are not the way they were even just 5 years ago. And so who knows what it's going to be like in 5 years, but it's probably going to be less of a moving back and more of a new kind of evolution is just my guess.
Well, hopefully we get some good holiday comedies as part of that, and they don't get thrown under the streaming bus. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Jaws says Sean William Scott said that if American Pie released today, they would all be in jail. What's your opinion about this? This is good for Rich. This is a great question for Rich. And about, for example, Porky's. Rich, this whole like risque kind of blue comedy movie that really isn't afraid to offend, like American Pie and Porky's, that type of thing. What's going on with that culturally? What's happening with our culture right now? Is that acceptable or not?
Well, it's interesting we talk about culture because it's so splintered, right? If you talk to a random average American adult, who knows what opinion you'll get, but if you talk to a random average Hollywood executive, I know just from having friends and even pitching things and talking to people that like they're very scared of doing anything that doesn't seem extremely PC, right? Like the first, like before you talk about a story, before you talk about anything, they're going to ask you, what's the diversity angle? What's the, what in it could possibly offend people? I mean, those are like their top priorities. And I'm not saying that's necessarily bad, but I'm not 100% sure that a lot of like, I think if a Porky's came out, and I barely even remember that movie, but like, or an American Pie, I think there's an audience for it, but I'm not sure if there's a Hollywood executive or at least very many of them that would be willing to take that chance, because Hollywood is so wrapped up in all of these other things rather than, hey, it's a raunchy comedy. It's going to ruffle some feathers. It's, it's full of, it's going to offend some people. Let's do it. And what's hilarious to me is that, South Park, and I'm still a diehard South Park fan. I just watched the new episode and it dropped this weekend, but and I love it. It's kind of funny because it's actually about all this stuff, but it's still got a following and there's still plenty of people who love it, but but it's grandfathered in from 1997. To get something new like that out, that's a battle uphill at this point.
What are your thoughts on comedy being offensive? Like offensive? Do you think there are certain things that should be off limits in comedy? Do you think we're too prudish right now? How do you, like, as a comedian on stage doing it live right in front of people, like, how do you thread that? How do you navigate that?
For me, it's all about reading your audience, right? So if you watch George Carlin rant on religion from 1994, if you took that same performance and put him with a different audience, it would tank. But with the audience that he had garnered because of his personality and the brand that he'd built over his lifetime, the people in his audience loved it, right? And so when I go on stage, usually the audiences that I'm catering to are kind of I don't have enough of a brand to where people are like, oh, this is Rich's comedy, I'm gonna go see Rich do a show, So I don't have that cachet to go, well, we're gonna push the envelope with this crowd because they're into it. It's like, I don't know, So I care about what am I gonna do for the audience? And when you're a Hollywood guy, you're thinking your audience is the whole world, right? So, and we can talk about like China, right? Like they've edited movies differently for China than for here, right? And we know that. And so when you talk about being offensive, I have no problem with offensive comedy in most respects. I don't care for comedy. We talked about earlier, it needs heart underneath it. If you're going to say something offensive just to be offensive, probably not interesting. But if it's part of the character, and I think the best example of this is now it's Cartman, who was based on Archie Bunker. It's like, yes, he's saying terrible things, but that's who his character is, and it makes sense in this world, and we're laughing almost at his silly racism and his silly bigotry. We're not selling it as this is what we want you to believe kind of stuff.
Right. Yeah, very, very well put. Yeah, very, very. It's something, you're right. I saw that latest South Park thing, and which I thought was hilarious. Like, maybe it's because I haven't seen South Park in a long time, but man, those guys are just like critical cultural theorists, like just going right into the heart of what this whole controversy is. And it's I hope that maybe studios kind of take a look at it and maybe adjust it a little bit, like as far as diversity is a great thing, and obviously being sensitive to audiences is an amazing thing. But yeah, sometimes as far as comedy goes, where do you find that bite again? Are you neutered? Are there too many guardrails on what you can do as a comedian? I don't know.
Comedy is not at its best when it comes from a place of fear. And if you're an exec and you're afraid this might hurt people's feelings, you should be considerate of people. You should consider all that stuff. But if you're like, I'm afraid I'm not going to do that, then it's like, well, yeah, you shouldn't do that, because, part of the reason why the Colberts of the world or the South Parks can do it is because they go, we're going to take a chance. You might hate this, but we're going to do it because we think it's funny, and it's okay if you don't like it. We'll learn. We'll okay. They didn't like that. We'll try something else or whatever.
Right. Yes, very well said. And then Ben Metello says, Christmas Vacation is probably my favorite Christmas movie. Just so many hilarious lines and scenes. Yeah, that's a great movie. So much fun to go back to every year. So I have to ask you, Rich, do you have a favorite holiday movie of all time that you will watch every year?
I mean, I definitely watch things every year. I always watch Die Hard. I always watch Christmas Vacation. I always watch Scrooged. I always watch How the Grinch Stole Christmas, which is easy because it's only 30 minutes. Usually
Right.
Home Alone, Mixed Nuts, Gremlins. a Garfield Christmas, which is not extremely popular, but it makes me cry every time. I don't care. I love it.
Really?
And then,
Okay.
oh yeah, the Garfield Christmas special and the Garfield Halloween special are unsung heroes that I will champion forever. I know Garfield's a lot of people don't love him, and I'm not a huge fan of the comics, but I think those two things still hold up. I love them to death to this day.
Wow. I've never seen that. I'll have to check that out.
I have it on
a lot of great stuff.
DVD.
You have it on DVD?
I have it on DVD.
Are there any special features on the DVD?
There are no special features on the DVD. This is old school. This is like early DVD. You get the Halloween special, the Christmas special, and I think there's a Thanksgiving special, but I never watch that.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah. Wow, what about you? What are your classics?
You know, I'll usually watch Home Alone 1 or 2. I'll watch Die Hard every year. I'll watch National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. And you know, those are the kind of the ones that I go back to. I think now I'm watching Planes, Trains, and Automobiles around Thanksgiving quite a bit.
Nice.
So those are the ones I go back to. Although I'm going to have to check out the new recommendations you brought to us, Spirited and Fat Man, right? Those we'll have to check those out. And also, guys, I'm going to plug this one more time. Monday, see us live. Come see us, Comedies live. If you're in the LA area around Glendale, come see our show Monday night. A link is in the description. You can get tickets, and we'd love to see you there. Stop by and say hi. Rich, I can't wait. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. Everyone, you've heard Rich talk about comedy. You can learn from him. You can take classes from him online. You don't have to be anywhere near LA. He's kind of like revolutionized this idea of remote improv classes, and man, it's great. Check the description, follow him, and is there anything else you'd like to recommend as far as like people who might be thinking about wanting to do comedy?
Most people don't do it because they're scared. Most people are like, oh, I don't want to do it. It seems scary. And I'm like, I'm sure there are teachers out there who are scary. I'm certainly not one of them. To me, the number one rule of improv is we're here to support each other and make each other look good. And I literally say that at the beginning of every single class. My students who've been with me for years are probably sick of it, but I don't care. Because if we lose that, we lose everything. And so if you come to one of my classes, your first drop-in's free, and you will be supported no matter what level you're at. You're like, I've never done comedy before, never heard of it. Fine. We'll yes, Andrew. We'll support you. We'll make you look good. That's what we do.
That's amazing. Yeah, everyone, check it out. If you're interested, check it out now, 100%. Well, Rich, thanks so much for joining us today. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. And I wish you the best as we forge our way through this holiday season. And I look forward to having you back as soon as possible.
Same to you, my friend. And I will see you on Monday.
Yes. See you on Monday. I can't wait. And everyone else, I hope you have a great weekend. We hope to see you on Monday. But if not, we'll see you next time on KenCast.
Want to be part of the live KenCast show? Subscribe to the Ken Cole YouTube channel and hit the notification bell to get alerts about every new show. Thanks for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you next time on KenCast.